Howdy everybody, welcome to the stream. Hope y'all doing alright. Today, today we're going to be working on a dungeon crawling roguelike. A deck building dungeon crawler, excuse me. Right? Yes. Just fix a couple things. Yeah. Alright. Chat's been weird. But anyhow, I just is it not? Give me a second. If you're here, I don't know you're here because YouTube's being weird. So I'm just gonna go to my channel right quick, see if it's streaming. Yes, okay. I'm gonna refresh that then. Maybe it'll fix it. I apologize, but I'd like to be able to see the chat. There's the chat. We're fixed it now. Okay. Sorry about that little technical difficulty, but we should be good to go. All right. Hey, finally able to catch the stream from the start, and great to see you. Multiple large projects always work out. This is a small project. On a more serious note, you got this. You've done more than most people I see filter through the indie dev space. I appreciate that. Thank you. This is going to be a small project, and I wouldn't get attached to it. I like to work on small projects, and in addition to my larger projects, because I think it can get a bit stale if you work on one big project for too long. And I have been working on Zone the Curse Streamer for 2 years without a break. And so I think I do need a little break. We're going to take a tiny little one. And what we're going to do is going to work on the Indiana Jones of game dev space. Yes. What we're going to do is we're going to work on a deck building roguelike. And the idea is not a deck building dungeon crawler, excuse me. It'll probably be a roguelike as well. And the idea is that you'll build this deck up. I've been playing a lot of Slay the Spire lately, so feeling a little inspired by that. I had this idea long before I played Slay the Spire, but I played it recently and said, I want to do this. And it's not going to be, there'll be some similarities, but we're going to be trying to push ourselves away from that, more into the dungeon crawler space. If you don't know what a dungeon crawler is, it's an old genre. Let me pull up a reference for you right quick. And basically, you run around this little dungeon, and it's like, the way I define a dungeon crawler. If you look at dungeon crawlers on Steam, it goes for everything from Slay the Spire itself to like anything in between of that. But like my first dungeon crawler was Eye of the Beholder on Super Nintendo. I think it's called that. Yes, should be that. Here, and I'm gonna show you images of it here. So let me pull this up. You get an idea for what I'm talking about. So with this game, you would have like directions that you could go into. You click these little things, you could turn around, and you could move through like a grid space and see that you could have a little monster you see up there, and you would go through and you would attack the monsters. You'd throw rock at the monsters. You drank potions or whatever. And that's kind of what we're going to do, but we're going to do it as a roguelike, as a deck builder. So the idea is, instead of clicking like attack or whatever, you'll have attack cards, you'll have potion cards that you can drink. They'll be consumables. And so they'll act as status effects into your deck until you use them. So you have to consider whether or not it's worth carrying that potion around with you. So this enemy has 25 health. I did that for the screenshot. The enemy actually has 10 health, so if we attack it, you'll see it go down to 6, down to 2, and then it'll get destroyed. I have the basic prototype up and running. Everything else is just filler. Some of the stuff I stole from some previous stuff I've worked on. But what I wanted to do today was sort of figure out the design a bit. And maybe think about what we're going to do exactly, how it's going to play out mechanically, maybe and do some art. Probably most of what we're going to do is do some card art. So we'll load this up. So we want to, and I'm going to talk about some ideas, but what I want to do is I want to have different archetypes for the player. And you could have your attacking. One of the things I want to do is summoning. So what I'm thinking, you'll notice we have this enemy as a card, and what I want to do is be able to you to be able to play like small enemies that can also attack the enemy. So you could be like a summoner archetype. You'd be like summon Skelly, right? They, you pop that out and you'll get that card, and it'll attack, and the enemy can attack that card and everything. So we want to think about some of that, some of the gameplay elements. So like for example, I mentioned throwing rocks earlier. Maybe we have a rock card, you could throw it, and like it's in your deck, and maybe there's like a flying type enemy that the rock card could do extra damage to. But like when you throw it, it's gone unless you pick the card back up. That kind of thing. We'll think about that kind of stuff. Yeah. Now we have here some, like I said, basic prototype. I made some of this stuff, like the deck building stuff. I actually made it. I'm gonna show you that right quick because that's a really neat system too. This is another game that I developed at some point. Let me just pull it. It won't take but a second. It's right. Wait, it's up here. Called it Drawn to Arms. And the idea and we're not going to work on this one. This is just, I'll show you like some of the experience that I have doing deck building stuff. You'll notice the similarities here. I just want to show this off because it's kind of cool. So the idea here was, hey, G, are you going to the Northern Lion Super Cruise? I don't watch Northern Lion that much. I have watched him before. I used to watch his Binding of Isaac stuff, but I haven't watched him much lately, so I have no idea about the Super Cruise. But the way this would work is, and we might still work on this one day in the future, is you'd have these cards and you play them. So you have energy here, and so you could be like, and you are this team over here. So it's kind of like an auto battler vibe to it. And so you'd like strike that person, and it's broken. Well, no, it's not broken. There you go. And so you're this guy right here, and you're playing these cards. You go strike, yeah. And if this kills an enemy, it applies weaken to this guy. He gets weakened. And so, and I've still got one more. Oh yeah, we should have played that one earlier, and then we'll do that. And then you end your turn, and the auto battler happens. The commander plays his cards, and then you get your turn again. It's a pretty neat system. We're working on it again one day, but that's not what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now is just like a dungeon crawler, like I said. Like you'll be going through a sort of labyrinth area, probably procedurally generated, and doing this stuff. And I want to show. I'm also inspired by Skull, who's in the chat as Benja, and he's been doing a dungeon crawler as well. Let me pull it up. Oh, we got this old chat here. And let me pull up here. Here, let me pull up this. Boop. And so he's working on the dungeon crawler as well. So you move through the dungeon. He's got a hotbar though, and the items do stuff based on like what they're relative to. So like, if you have this right here next to a weapon, if I remember correctly, then you apply weaken to the enemy. If you have it next to your shield, then you get valor because you're like slamming it against your shield. Pretty cool stuff. So join the Discord if you want to watch Skullwalker now. He's been doing a really great work there. And so that's the idea. So like we're going to be focusing on the card battle for now, and then like maybe next week we'll do like the dungeon exploration or something. All right, thanks a lot. You're welcome, bud. Happy to talk about it because that's one of the things that got me. Well, I would say the main thing, because I've seen him working on that, and I was like, that's what I want to be doing. And so that's where we are. All right. So I want to. This card's actually a little big. I did it for the YouTube to get a clear thumbnail. We're going to shrink this down so we can get a better view of what we're looking at here. And I'm making them smaller because there's going to be a lot of cards on the field, I expect. He should be higher up as well. Here. And so the idea is that you'll have your enemies up here. You'll be able to play your cards up here. Maybe some traps too. I think that would be cool. Like maybe you could have enemies come out with traps. I think that would be cool. And so that's what we're going to be talking about a bit of design and what we want to do with that. Probably mostly drawing though. Yes. So let's go ahead and get drawing. we will keep this. I'll actually put up a reference of this just so I can pop it out and show it to anybody as we need it. And we'll just keep that right there. And we can do any sketching up to it and everything we need. All right, so we'll get going here. We have, let me open up this one. This is where we have our card front. We're just going to, I'm just going to copy this and get an idea for where the space we're working with. Well, no, let's do it here. We're going to save a copy of it though, just for the idea of what the SketchUp's are going to look like. All right, so we want to design different card arts. I want to focus on monsters, I think, and we're just going to sketch these up. It's not going to be too pretty, and we will talk about the style that we want to go with as well, which I'm thinking is going to be kind of a goofy, sketchy style. Let's see. So let's start with like a basic slime, I guess. Let me pull up some references to get us going. What is this one? And I need Pinterest. All right. So we'll go slime RPG. See what we get. I don't know that we're going to use slimes. We're just going to try to figure out the style that we're going for, and I think a slime is a good way to sort that out. And I don't know what setting we're doing this in either. Could be fantasy, could be sci-fi. That would be interesting, I think. I don't think I've ever seen a sci-fi dungeon crawler, but I'd be game for it. Could be steampunk. I'm open to anything, just about. This cat slime is really cute. So we're just going to, sketch out some slime. Slimes, I think, is a good start, like a good Hello World type enemy to get us going, to figure out what we want to do exactly. I am quite partial to slimes with skulls, so let's see if I can find anything like that. Like this, it's great. And so I especially want to figure this out because we want to get like an idea of like exactly what style we're going for. And that can really help us sort of nail that down. This is really cute. I'll just get a couple more. Or maybe that's it. This is nice. Something to consider. Then we got these. All right, that should be plenty for us to get some ideas from. All right. Join the Goofy Sketch Scout boat. Yes. I'm gonna try not to copy your style too much, Cole, but your style is absolutely gorgeous. We're gonna try to do something a little different, maybe. Something in colored outlines. I'm thinking a too wide outline. Now I don't know, but like I sketched this out as card art. We're gonna work on this as well. I don't like how, I don't know, clean it looks. Like, I don't know. We want to do some full card art as well, but we do want to keep it simple because, like I said, I don't want to be working on this too long. This is just meant to be like a fun little detour because we all need a break sometimes. And so I'm right now I'm thinking about exactly how we want to lay the card out. I'm thinking we have the heart up here, if I remember correctly. We have the name here and the information here. They'll have a cost, which will go up here. And I did the white outline because like that's sort of how proper cards do it. Let me look at not to copy it, but just out of curiosity. I'm gonna look at what Slay the Spire does. So I'm just gonna go Slay the Spire 2. Which, if y'all have not played yet, Slay the Spire 2 is fantastic. Don't play that. I just want to get an idea of what their cards look like. I don't want to do what they're doing. Curious about the edge. This is about more of a curiosity thing. If I can find... No, that's it. Nope, don't do that. Alright. So let's look. We got a bit of there, a bit of large border. We don't have a lot of room to play with. So we're going to try to keep it as full to the card as we can. Yeah. Okay. They don't have the white border, which is what I was mainly curious about. I kind of like the white border, but it also eats up a lot of space. So, no guarantee we'll keep it. But, let's get started. We'll work with the silhouette first, maybe? I don't know. Let's try sketching first. Because I do want to have like just a sketchy look to it. I'm just trying to... Could also be a ghost. That's actually like a cute idea. And so what I'm thinking about is like ways to differentiate like actions. So you'll have like your attack actions. You'll have what Slay the Spire would call skills. I don't know what we'll call them. Which would be stuff like drawing extra cards, using the potion, that kind of stuff. And then we'll have like playing monsters and stuff. So they'll have their own little way to differentiate them. I haven't figured out what I want to do yet. We'll probably do... I know, like I said, we do want to have different archetypes as well. I don't know how I want to do this, though, because you have a couple of issues. One, like, you could do class selection. And I want to do... If we're doing RPG, I'm thinking I want to do, like, the fighter, rogue, mage, and then we'll have some fancy stuff like blood mage. I think that would be fantastic. We'll have, your typical RPG style classes. I don't know if I want to do a specific set class and then have you only have pull cards from that pool. That would be consistent. And it would probably add to some replayability if you want to try the different classes. The other option would be to somehow have all the cards pulled together and you sort of build a deck out of everything. So you could imagine, like, if you had like sword attacks with your summon monsters with your cast spells type stuff, like all together, and you somehow try to form a deck with that. The problem with that is you have like the card drafting, right? Like the larger your pool, the harder it is to find a specific archetype that you want, because you might not hit a summoner card for who knows how long. And if you're and that's fine if you start out like that, because you sort of want to let the RNG sort of guide you. But if you start playing into it, and like say you get through 2 levels playing as a summoner, and then for some reason for one level you just don't hit any summoning stuff, it's sort of hard to play around that, and it's likely to happen because there's so many card draws. So we'll be thinking about that, how we want to approach that. It would be really cool to be able to do it open, I think, just to if we could find like maybe card packs, that would be cool. So like instead of giving 1 of 3 cards, you could get 1 of 3 card packs, and from that you could pick 1 of 3 cards. That's a lot of choices, a lot of clicking. We'll have to see how that goes. But see, we have a ghost here. I'll just think about the background. I think I want to have a red background for monsters, maybe. Maybe. We'll just do some kind of squiggles, whatever. We're just sketching right now, getting ideas for what we want, about the size that we want, and everything like that. we'll probably have different different portrait backgrounds for different types of monsters, because like that would be cool to differentiate them, I think. So instead of just having like a static background, we could have and we could have a common ones. So what we could do is have separate them. We have the background and we have the monster, and we could have like a default background, or we could have a themed background and then put the monster on top of that. Might do that, and we might like, because like I said, you're gonna be able to play these monster cards as well. Probably different. Like we'll have to figure out the design wise whether you can play the exact same monsters, because you can imagine if you were to play the exact same monster and they were to fight each other, that's kind of an equal fight, and so that would really give you an advantage. So we have to consider how powerful we want you to be. Maybe we decrease the health, or maybe we have you specific summonable monsters that have less health. Because with the summoner, you don't want to just summon that one monster and that's it. You know, it's an equal fight all the way through. You probably want to be summoning monsters repeatedly throughout the fight. Just keep you on your toes. We'll have like extra cards, like you can boost them maybe, just sort of keep things going. Yeah, I think that sounds right. All right. Let's see what this looks like in the game. We're going to copy this. And I think, yeah, here we have here. We'll just say Ghost Monster Portrait, just to see how this looks in the game itself. Here. I think I have the portrait hard coded right now, so we have to do this. Quick load. I think that looks fine. The card feels a little small. Maybe we can make it a little bigger. And we could have the monster cards be bigger, and then the summon cards be smaller. I think that might work. So, right quick, we just have this. We just have some of this stuff hard coded for now. It's fine. We'll do it like this. See where that gets us. I think it looks a little better. Let's try 0.8. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay. And we probably scoot these cards down a little further as well. Then have them peek up as you look at them. Let me do that right quick. I guess this one. There we go. Alright, and we can scoot this monster down just a little further. We'll go 75. Probably too far. Great. Alright, so you'll have your summonable monsters right here, and your traps and stuff. And we'll have to think about traps too. I think that's an interesting concept of how we want that to work. We might talk about that just in a second. But I think that works. I'm just going to scoop this up a little more. Yeah, that's great. We'll probably have some card animations. Like I think it would be cool to have this card sort of floating up and down. That would be cool. And maybe some specific sound effects, like it could be having like a ooh in the background during the fight. I think that would be great. All right, so traps. Let me think about that. We could have it be like hidden traps. So like if you do a thing and then a trap gets played, and it's like a one shot, or we could have it be a constant thing. And it could be like a monster. Maybe they have health as well. That's an interesting idea because it gives you choices. So imagine like a spike trap. If you play a melee attack, then the spike trap goes anytime you would play a card, take 2 health damage or whatever. And so you might be incentivized to take out that spike trap first, and then attack the monster. Or if you think you can end the fight quick enough, then you could take out just the monster and not worry about the spike trap. The spike trap doesn't have to be taken out, as opposed to the monsters having to be taken out. I think that's a cool idea. We could have all other kind of traps too. Like we could have a silence trap that would like prevent magic spells from being cast. we could have like curse traps that like can't be physically beaten but have to be dispelled. That could be interesting. Okay. So let's get back to work on this. We have the ghost. The ghost is alright. I think, do we want to have simple? Do we want to keep it though? Like, do we want to do any shading? Let's try a little bit of shading and see how it goes. Like I said, I want to be steamrolling through this though, because we're just trying to keep it simple. Like all my ideas, I'm trying to thwart because we don't want to be spending too long on this. We want it to be cool though, but yeah. Yeah. I think I could just, yeah. I think that looks fine. If we do like minimal shading. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, let's try, like Ghost was easy. Let's try and figure out some other types we can do with this. So we'll keep that up for our standard background. And we'll try and do something. What about, I'm thinking maybe a rat man. See if we can get some references for that. Rat warrior. Yeah, so this is what I'm thinking, something like that. But of course in like a cute cartoony style. Okay, that should be fine. All right, so we want kind of like a berserker type rat creature, and we want to keep it, like I said, we want to keep it pretty straightforward. We'll probably do like a bust. Let me see. So I'm thinking, let's do like a head, thinking like a mouth here. Like just sort of like screeching. No. More lean that way. Something like that. I was gonna do a shield, but like honestly, like two daggers, two swords. It's pretty crazy. Okay. This is we're getting a little outside of my comfort zone, so that's fine. I don't usually draw uh, this kind of stuff, but I think it'll be fun to do. Let's give him bigger ears. Oh, we want to have a bigger open mouth too. Due to the background. Background's kind of noisy. Let me turn it off for a second. Let's get another one. Just make it darker. Yeah, that's fine. But because of that background, it kind of looked like he had his tongue out. I think that would be fantastic. We're going. I do want to go like just like really silly with the portraits and stuff. Can have like the tongue, and sort of just like drooling out of his mouth. Bigger angry eyes. All right. I'm trying to think of how I want to do like how I want to do the like the armor. I probably shouldn't have went with a humanoid shape early on. Not really my forte, but we'll make it work. Let me see. Let me see. Maybe something like. Kind of like barbarian strap around himself. And we'll give him bigger muscles. Alright. What color should we go with? We'll go with something a little light. Oh. Doesn't really look like a mouse. So stupid. Let's see. Try to make these look like swords. This looks terrible. We're trying to we do want it to make it look like something, but like I said, we want to go for like a really simple. A child could have drawn this kind of style. Just to keep it simple. It's gonna be hard to make that like look like he's drooling. No idea what I'm doing. that is something. Let's see how that looks. Ratman portrait. We gotta change it here. Nope, that's the wrong one. Oh, we're just gonna we're gonna be sketchy about a lot of stuff to figure out exactly what we want. I have no idea what it's gonna look like by the time we're done. I'm trying to still figure out the style. That's not too bad. Needs quite a bit of touch-ups, but I could absolutely work. And that's kind of like, as silly as this looks, it's kind of what I have in mind, like this sort of low, like low detailed type thing. Let's see what else we can do. We need to think about the areas that we're going to be using. So I don't have, like I said, I don't have any kind of story, any kind of a setting. What, as far as like the goal of the player, what I'm thinking is just like a single dungeon that we go through. It can be broken up into different settings, and then those have different monsters in them. Different monsters, different items, different mechanics. Because this is going to have like a world kind of interaction with it too. So like, you might pick up a key to unlock a door. You might pull a lever, that kind of, you know, your simple stuff. We do more interesting things, like maybe like a statue can be interacted with, anything like that. Interacting with something that affects something elsewhere in the dungeon, that kind of thing. Well, not the dungeon, but the level. We probably want to keep things self-isolated. Yeah. So the kind of themes that we could do, I'm partial to like starting off in a forested area, moving into a dungeon. Well, a forest area might be difficult to do in a dungeon crawler because of how we have to make it look. So for those who weren't here at the beginning, we're doing a kind of dungeon crawler like this, or here. Yeah. So like, you move around. You can turn around and you can explore this area, that kind of thing. You do combat, but instead of doing like this typical combat, we're doing cards. And so I'm going to be having to draw these background elements, and we're going to keep them pretty simple. Look up here. To keep me from having to draw less, and plus we're not going to be doing like real-time movement through it. Like you'll click ahead and you'll jump ahead to the next grid part, and it'll sort of, you'll see it, things like getting closer maybe if we do anything, like depending on how fancy we get with that. But I don't want to be having like to render like the trees that get closer, you know, if you know what I mean. Like what we could do is have like, let me sketch up what I have in mind. Right, 270. This is our viewport in the game. I don't know what the travel window is going to look like. What I'm thinking is like the cards will show up when you enter a fight. So like typically you would have like your path ahead. you know, like you can go your path ahead, you can straight for left or right or whatever. We're probably going to keep it simple, not have so that, like, you know, Skull, the way he does it is you can only turn and you can move forward. I think that's fine. Because we're not simulating like monsters that move around. It's more like you enter an area and you you trigger a fight. And I think we can probably do that as well. So I'm gonna steal from Skull here. So instead of like strafing, you just turn. And so you'll have like the walls around you. You'll be able to see like if it's like if you can turn left, then you'll see like an opening here, or likewise. And so what we could do is we could have like trees sort of growing up over a path or whatnot. So you could imagine like some brushes here or whatnot. And then we could have like trees growing up here and creating this sort of archway that you can go forward, or you can see like whether or not you have like a hole here you can travel through. And so you could be moving through a dense forest. I could see that working. So we might do something like that. So if that's the case, reorganize, then we could have some forest monsters like the rat man. And then you enter into a dungeon. I don't know the theme of what we want the dungeon to be yet, but we'll figure that out. I'll hide over rat man right quick. We'll do some more sketches. Let me think. So we could be doing like the forest critters. What other forest critters could we have? We did the ghost, which is just, you know, sketching to get an idea. We could do the slime again. The rat man. Could do a skeleton. I don't want to do too generic though. So we do want to keep it sort of interesting and not just do fall upon your tropes. Yeah, well. Or we could just do some prototyping while we figure that out. Because I don't typically start drawing and art this soon. But I didn't want to take too much time doing like working on the coding part. We could do that though. Switch it up. So let's see. No, that's the wrong one. Let me close this actually. That's a really cool one. I want to work on that at some point. I really do like that one. But that one's a little more complicated, I think. We want to keep this pretty simple and straightforward. Because I've only planned probably at most a month working on it. See if even that. And I'm doing this for like a YouTube video, by the way. Because I think it'll be. I'm wanting to do some one-shot videos. I think that would be fun. What mechanic could we work on? Yeah, let's put this aside. We'll figure out what we can do. Oops, excuse me. All right. Okay. We could get the enemy attacking back. So, right quick. Right now I've got the 25 health hard coded in here. We're not setting. So when we set this monster, we don't set the health. We can change that right quick. Yeah, that should fix that. Okay, so what we want to do is get the creature attacking. So right now we can attack, and we're actually doing quite a bit of damage. Let's give him more health. Debug monster card. Should be, no, this one. Give him, that didn't math out right. That's probably not initializing the variables then. We'll give him 20 health. Yeah. We have here, I think we're duplicating, instantiating there. Was it here? I'm looking for where I set, yeah, here, we're duplicating the monster data. So we're going to say monster data dot init variables. That will set it, the health to the maximum health. So we should get that there. Great. And so when we attack, it'll go down. We'll want to end turn here. And we'll need to make a turn manager, which we don't need a complicated one. So we're just going to add a quick little button here. I don't want to do it here. I'm going to, well, tell you what, we'll add a canvas layer here. I have a button there. Oh, excuse me. Okay. All right. And we'll just have this be a middle signal when we press this. We'll have a turn manager here, and this is where we'll tell the turn that we turn the manager that we end our turn. All right. So we have, get rid of this filtering. Actually, we can ref count this. I think. Yeah. So what we're going to have here is we're going to have, we'll think about the turn structure that we're going to do. So the game starts, or the battle starts, we're going to give the player the first turn. They're going to play their cards. They can attack, or they can summon, anything like that. So then we want to go into the minion's turn after the players. And then after that, we'll go to the enemy's turn and then back to the player's turn. If we have an enemy that can summon enemies, do they get their own summoning turn, or do they would probably just take their turn after the summoner. So we'll say enum turn. I don't really like that, but it's what it is. We'll say player, minion, enemies. And I like to do these as constants because it's easy to type. Okay, so what we're going to have here is an array of arrays, probably. Or, no, we'll have dictionaries. So it'll be, let's call it turn dict for now. It'll be dictionary, turn, array. So when we add an entity, we're going to add the entity itself, which is going to be, yeah, it's going to be character data. And then we'll want to have the turn group that it's part of. So we want to, so if the turn diction, we're going to add this to the array inside of the dictionary. And so if we've not added nothing yet, we don't have an array there. So if turn dict does not have the turn group, then we just add the add that dictionary there, and then we can say turn dict turn group dot append entity. And so these will do their turns in sequence of yeah. And so to keep track of the turns, we're going to have a turn group IDX. We'll go to -1. And then a turn entity IDX. So turn group IDX will be, it'll be turn. I don't know if they'll let us do that. Yeah. Well, we'll just start it out as turn player then. Okay. And the IDX is going to be the IDX for inside of the array. So when we say, we add the entity, so we're going to add, we'll add the player, and then we'll add the enemy, and then we're going to say start. At which point we'll say turn group IDX equals turn player, just to make sure. Turn IDX, entity IDX equals 0. We might do this inside of the next group. So we're going to have like a function start group, and we'll do it there. And then what we're going to do here is we'll say, well, first, if this group is empty, then we're going to continue. I'm trying to think about how we want to continue. We could, I'll probably say signal turn finished, ended. We'll do it to signal turn started, because we'll probably use that at some point. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I'm trying to think of the flow here. So imagine what I'm thinking of here is, say the player takes their turn, they end their turn, and then we end the group, and then we start the next group, and the minions will be the next group. And if there's no minions, then we're not starting anything. We don't have any entities in the array, and so we start the next group. We'll have function next turn. Right. On turn finished. And so here, turn manager is always interesting to set up. There's a lot of logic goes into them. Let's see. I've done this before on like I've got a roguelike, and plus the other one that I showed you. But it's not too bad. We can just do it straight ahead. On turn finished. What we're gonna have here is we're doing this through the character datas, not the entities, because the player doesn't have an entity, but they all have character datas. So what we're probably going to do is here we'll have a signal for turns for turn ending here, and we're probably going to keep a reference to the entity on the data, so it can trigger it that way. So we can say turn. Let's say turn finished. And so when we start a turn, entity. I don't like using entity here because I usually use that for physical things, but we'll do that for now because I don't know what else to call them. Start turn, and we'll put character data here. All right, so we have signal utils here. We're going to connect a signal entity dot turn finished to on turn finished. And we're going to be setting a current entity here as well. And if the current entity is not equal to null, then we need to disconnect the old signal. This is more like a set current entity type thing, but we'll keep it in there for now. It'll probably just be confusing. It's fine. All right, so we have our, we haven't called it yet. We have our start turn here, and we connect our signal, and what we're going to do is we're going to tell it to start turn, which we're going to place here as well. Now for this, this is where we would incorporate our logic. We would say get the entity. If it's a player, then we set up the player's stuff like they draw their cards or whatnot. If it's a monster, they attack. But for now, we're just going to say engine dot get loop get main loop dot create timer. Oh, I can't do this anymore. We'll say 0.5 false. Timeout dot connect turn finished. Okay. And yeah, that's just going to simulate our turn for now. So when we hit this turn, we're going to say, let's figure out how we're going to start these first. So we're going to start here. We set our group to our player. Yeah. Okay. So, and then we start our group. And we're going to say, we're going to reset this variable to the beginning. And we'll say, we will say, I'm trying to think right now. I've still got the empty group in my head and how I ought to handle that. We're going to try to ignore that for now. I'll tell you what. We'll get rid of the minions, just so we don't have to worry about that right now. It'll just be player and enemies. I can guarantee that we have a player and an enemy, and we won't think about that. So we're going to start group. We're going to do there. We're going to say current entity would be the group. Let's get the group. For our group array equals turn dict dot get, is it, I did this wrong. Turn group IDX. Turn group IDX there. And then the next entity would be the, well, I could loop it there. We're not thinking about it. Next entity would be the start of the group. We're just gonna we're just gonna throw in a fixed me tag there, because we're assuming it has anything in it, and then we're gonna say start turn next entity. All right. Oh, yeah. Character data. All right, so that should be starting our turn. So start group, we get the entity, start the turn, and then we do that, and then we're waiting for the turn here. And then on the turn finish, we're going to say turn entity IDX plus equals 1. Now if we get, we're going to have a function get group count group IDX equals turn group IDX, and we're going to return turn dict dot get group IDX. It's going to be an array dot size. All right, so if turn entity IDX is greater than equal to get group count, then we start the next turn. Which would be, start group, excuse me. We will say turn group IDX. We're hacking this together right now. It's not going to be nice, it's not going to be pretty. There's going to be some potential issues with it, but we're just throwing it together. Just to get it functional, we can make it pretty later. Turn group IDX equals clamp I. Turn group IDX plus 1. We want to wrap. I want to wrap it between 0 and turns dot size. And then we start the group. Okay. What's an error here? Enum without cast. I don't know. I don't care. Okay. And so that should iterate through the groups, I think. Let me just say, just print turn finished here. And we're going to get the current entity. See what happens. Oh, we're not even using it yet. So we have our battle scene here. This is where we're going to keep our turn manager. And when we initialize our debug, say turn manager equals, and we're probably going to do this before, so we can start adding stuff as we create it. So then we can say turn manager dot add entity, game dot get player data, turn manager dot turn player, and then we're spawning our monster here. And say turn manager dot add entity. We're doing monster data, which we're not creating here. It would be in monster entity, monster data. Turn manager, turn enemies. All right. And then once all that is said and done, we can say turn manager dot start. All right, let's see where we're at with that. So we'll start. We'll set our player to the group just to make sure. We'll start our group, set the first entity. We get the group, get the first entity in the group, and we start that entity's turn. It'll disconnect the turn signals from the previous entity, set the current entity, and trigger the, we're not calling the next turn. And we'll say current entity dot start turn. Then we'll start the turn. That for now triggers a timer, which we'll call this function. We'll say turn is finished. We'll increment our entity in the group. If the group is greater than, then we'll start the next group. Otherwise, we're just gonna, that's backwards from how I want to do it. Turn entity IDX is less than get group count. Then we want to start the next entity. We'll have a get entity. We have an add entity, get entity. We'll go IDX int turn group turn. We want to return a character data, and we're going to return turn dict dot get turn group as an array. IDX. Well, let's go. Let's keep this as an array first. And then we will return the index in the array if the IDX is greater than equal to 0 and IDX is less than array.size. Right? Else null. Alright, and then here we'll say our next entity equals get entity turn entity IDX plus, oh no, we already did +1, and then we have our group, which is turn group IDX. And then we can say start turn next entity. Now what we could do, oh matter. What we could do is have the next entity here. And then we set it here. This is just a precaution. We can do that. Let's start the next turn. Let's say if next entity not equal null, we'll start the next turn. Else we'll start the next group. Just as a precaution, just in case we go to grab an entity and it's not there for whatever reason. Okay. I think that's functional. Let's run it and see what happens. Nope. No. Okay. It seems to be alternating turns, so that's great. All right. So now we need to detect what happens on the turns. We need to be setting our entities as well, which we're not doing. So we can do that right quick. So what we need is monster data. We'll have an entity ID here because the player doesn't have an entity. The player's stats are just abstract. Versus the cards, the monsters have their cards entities, which are in the world that could be interacted with. So we'll have a There. We can have a function set entity. Now we're not, when we set entity, we're not setting the value, we're setting a monster card entity. And I have a utility function here just to get the ID quickly without too much fuss. And then we can do a get entity. Monster card entity. There. All right. So we are creating our, currently, we are creating our entities. It should be in here. So we're creating our datas here, and then we can say monster data dot set entity self. Okay. Now if we come back here, we have our turn here. Okay. We could make this an abstract or a virtual function, and what we could do here is have our monster data. So we start our turn, we say our entity, let's get entity. If entity is not equal to null, then we could tell the entity to do its turn. Now, what I'm thinking about is whether or not I want where I want the logic. Do I want the logic in the card entity? Probably not. We could have a we could have another object that's responsible for handling battle logic. Might do that. Yeah, I think that sounds good. And then that could have like little actions that the card is supposed to perform. But for now, we're just going to say we have to consider summons. For now, we're just going to consider everything as an enemy. I think that's fine. And so what we'll do then is we'll just hard code an attack here. We'll say for damage info, we're just trying to get it functional for now. So we're just going to create a basic damage, or have it damage, I don't know, 5? 5's a lot. And then we'll say game.getPlayerData.apply damage info. And we'll set the attacker as ourselves here. Okay. And that logic is going to go through, it's going to change the health. I don't know if the player's health is connected up top. It might be. It might be. And that should adjust the player's health up top if so. And then we will do the timer, which will remove here and just have this be a virtual function. So by default, this won't do anything. If it's a monster, then it will attack the player. And if it's a player, which we have here, then we're going to enable the player's turn. And the way I want to do this, I think, is I think we have a turn starting signal. We don't. Let's say signal turn starting. This is character data. Where's that function? There it is. We can say turn starting dot unit. For this, we will go ahead and go super dot start turn, and for the player as well. And so what I'm thinking, we may not even need this. We're going to do it for now. Is we'll say when we connect the HUD, the battle HUD. So battle scene, we have battle HUD. we're going to save this as its own scene. So here we can say function set player. And what we want to do is we'll say stats dot start turn starting. We're going to connect that. We're going to say signal utils dot connect stats dot turn starting to on player turn starting. And here is where we're going to say we're going to show our button here. And then on player turn ending. I'm going to hide our button. Oops. Signal utils dot connect signal stats dot turn ending finished. And we'll do it here as well. On player turn finished. And that should toggle our buttons. Yeah, sounds good. So we'll get that. If I end my turn, no. I will, well, we also need to hide it if it's otherwise. I will do that right quick. Because it could be ready. I mean, I don't know why it's not doing the turn now, but it could, as a separate issue, we'll run into later. Yeah, so not here yet. No, we're not setting the, we haven't called this yet, which is fine. We'll call it here. We don't have that function, so. Now, battle scene, yeah, okay. We'll do it here, we'll say battle HUD, which we'll create, call for here, we'll say battle HUD dot set player game dot get player data. All right. Oh, okay, hold on. We need to connect the button here. This is where we're going to tell the player to end their turn. We need to make sure it is the player's turn there, just in case like there double clicks or anything like that. Right now we don't have a way to check that. Because it shouldn't be an issue right now because we're hiding the button so fast, but we might animate the button later. We could disable it. Do that. What? Is it? Oh, whoops. In turn button dot disabled equals true or false. Okay, that should be fine. Then we can say game dot get player data dot in turn. We don't have that function yet. We're going to make that function right quick though. think we set up a signal somewhere to emit here. Yeah. We'll just say intern here. Just to keep it clean. Okay. There we go. All right. That, I think this is taking over. There we go. All right. So, bop, bop, bop. The cards are not showing their energies they're supposed to. Lost card entity, battle card entity. I mean, not a big deal. We can just play pretend right now. So yeah, so bop, 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 intern. Then we get the energy back. And we would draw the more cards. But we have the enemy attacking for now. Alright, I'm going to animate that right quick. So what I'm going to do is we have monster data, start turn, and we do the thing here. What I'm thinking about right now is how I want to animate this. We're probably going to move it towards where it's attacking. So what I'm going to do then, we have a battle scene here. We have the player, player cards. And we're going to have this act as the player's entity. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the mouse, and it's going to bash your cards here. Or not mouse, I guess it was. And so we're going to set that as the player's entity when we're creating our player here. Let's do this. Function. Ready player? Yeah. Ready player 1. And then we'll do this. Now we're creating, like, this is debug stuff, like we're creating the deck here, we're just filling it with basic cards. And setting that deck. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say game dot get player data dot set entity. No, we did that as monster entity. Monster data. Where's it at? There it is. We're going to move this over to character data. That way we can do it for that, not just the monsters. And then when we come back here, we say entity. And we're going to set it as the player's cards. And the reason we're going to do that is so we can have we can tell it physically where it's at, so they can move to it. So then, when the monster attacks, which would be here, up here. So we get our current entity, and then we're applying to the attacker. Let's say, just to make this clear, I'll set our tower easier to modify later. That, and this will be where we would determine the target. For now, we're just assuming it's the player. And then we're going to apply the damage, and then we're going to move towards it. We might later on move towards it, then apply the damage, but for now, we're going to say for target entity, so it's target.get entity, if target entity, just to be safe, then we're going to tween it towards it. We're going to say var tween equals target entity. We have our own entity here? Yeah, we have our own entity here. Let's do this one instead. Entity dot create tween, and then we'll say tween dot tween property entity dot. Now this might yeah, okay, so no, this should be fine. This should be fine. Maybe we'll have to see, but it should be fine. So tween property entity, I think we have to do it this way. To the target entity position. How quick do we want to do this? We'll just do it really quick for now. And then we're going to tween it back. That seems fine. And there's no easiness to it, but we can add a little easing to it. Set ease out, right? Yes. Dot set trans sign. And we're going to ease this one in. Perfect. All right. Let's see if that works. No. Oh, we didn't call the, whoops. There. All right, so in a turn, boop. Great. We probably want him to have him up. When they does that, we want to put him up on a higher Z scale. Here. So we will say entity.zIndex equals 1. And tween.tween finished, right? No, tween.finished, excuse me. Connect entity dot. I think we can do the index, set the index like that. Dot bind 0. There's no way for me to really check that, but boop, there we go. All right. Fantastic. Oh, so that's it attacking. We can try to create excuse me. We can try to create summonable monsters. Yeah, let's see if we can get that run. Shouldn't be too much effort. So here, we'll do it here in battle scene. We have ready in our player. We're spawning in these cards. Let's do this, and then we'll say card inst equals card instance dot new. The card data we won't. We're gonna have to make, yeah. Yeah, we're going to reload debug monster card, and then we'll say card inst.set card data, and we will add to the hand card instance. So that should give us, if that works just automatically, it should give us this guy. You don't have the portrait because I think we're hard coding it inside of monster entity. Yeah, okay. So we have different card entities. We have the basic generic card entities right here, and then we have a monster card entity up here. I'm just spawning basic entities, but I think I created a function to spawn in the proper entity. We just have to tell the deck to do that. So now I have not looked at this code in quite a while, so we're gonna hope. We'll have to see how it works, how we do this. So card and card drawn. Now I think, yeah. So this is the resource for handling it. It's not actually drawing the entities. For that we have the card interface. And for this one, it has a here, which, okay, so it is creating the card entity. It's just not properly. All right, so let me see why. What we're going to do here, we're going to do that one. And we're just going to take a peek, see what it's doing. No? Oh, have we not set it up yet? Okay. Then we're going to peek in here then. We'll just have to continue a few times till we find the one we want. All right. So, this should be it. Debug monster card. Right. It is. And if we create entity, it should take us to here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I didn't implement this for the monster. I'm probably doing it manually. So that's fine. We will copy this. Go to our, this is our card data. We want to go to monster card data. And we'll do this here. Great. Monster card entity. Should be this one. Okay, let's see if that works. Great. So now, okay, so we're getting there. The reason this one has an interface over top of it is what allows me to say attack that one versus like, you know, attack over here, whatever. I could say specifically attack that one, and it's covering up our button here. And I knew that was going to happen when I did that. What we have to do is we have to toggle between them, because on the once summoned, it doesn't need the button. When it is summoned, it doesn't need the it needs the area. So if you look at the card entity here, you can see it. We have a button, we have a card interface. Right now the card interface sits over top of the button, and that prevents me from like clicking it and dragging it or anything. We don't need the button if it's spawned, but we do if you have it in your hand. So we need to differentiate between those two. We don't have a way to differentiate them right now. Right now they're just placed. So we're probably going to have, probably in here, a battle card entity. We're going to give it a state, like a played state, entity state. And basically we want different states. We want for sure a state for when it's in your hand, and a state for when it's on the field. Maybe a state for when it's in the discard pile, and a state for when it's in the draw pile. We could have like different ones for that, because we could be checking for other things like say if something happens when it's in your discard pile, we could trigger an event, and we want to be able to check if it's in the discard pile. Now entities don't exist in the discard pile as of now. We could change that. Entities exist as they're needed. So that's the thing to keep in mind. Like when you draw a card, it creates an entity. When you discard a card, it removes that entity. That's what I'm saying. I think that's fine. For that, we have a card instance. So we have card data, which is the abstract data. It's like every card. Like if you have 2 attack cards, they share the same card data. To create an instance of it, you create what's called a card instance. And that references the card data, but it has unique variables to the card. That could be things like the level of the card. It could be enchantments you put on the card, anything like that. And then you have the card entity, which is the physical representation of the card. It doesn't control any of the logic. It shouldn't, but it might call the logic. It might tell the card instance to upgrade, that kind of thing. The instance controls the logic. The entity controls the physical representation. So the instance sits in the deck, and the instance can listen for that stuff that we mentioned before. The entity sits here. So that tells me that we will probably want to have the state on the instance. Okay. And then we want to have the entity interact with that state. Okay. All right. So we'll have a card instance. And we'll have this be a storage variable. We'll have it be called field state. Yeah. And we'll have an enum for this. So enum field state. And for this, we'll have draw pile hand discard pile field. All right. Just get these right quick. All right. We'll have a none as well, which will be our default. You could imagine like just like in limbo, like the card doesn't even exist in anything for some reason, right? For whatever reason. Whoops. All right. And so we'll have it, we'll start it in the none state, and then when it gets added, we'll change its state as we need it. We're not going to delve too much into that because right now it's very much rigged together. Like they're not even in the draw piles or hand. Like I'm just directly adding it to the hand. But what we're going to do is tell that when it's in the we're going to tell that monster it's in the field, and at which point it will disable its button and enable its interface. All right. Let's call the signal field state changed. And then we'll have a set field state. Like so. All right. Okay. And we will do this here. Right now we're just spawning the monster here. So we will say monster entity, card instance. Set field state. Card instance dot field state field, like so. All right. Now, yeah, that should be fine. And then we'll say here in the monster card entity, whenever we set the card instance here, we can say function on field state changed. All right. Come down here. We're going to make these here. And we'll go back to our guy here. Let's reload that. Make sure it's functional. Great. And this one as well. And we'll do it here. All right. So then, when we have that, we can say match monster data dot field state. Nope. Instance. Excuse me. Where do we have the instance at? We have the monster data. Okay, we should already have the card instance, excuse me, in the parent scene dot field state. And then we're going to say card instance dot field state field. Then we're going to say button dot hide card interface area dot show. Otherwise, just for now, I'll say button dot show card interface area dot hide. Because we're not doing the logic for the other ones right now, we're only bothered with this one. That should work. No. Because we're never called this function, excuse me. So we'll say signal utils dot connect signal card instance dot field state changed on field state change. And then we'll call it ourselves just to make sure it works. See if that works. Okay. This is because we're calling it probably before the ready method. Yeah, we'll just do it here then. If not is node ready, await ready. Great. So we should be able to attack him. Now he doesn't do it. He's probably just going to attack. But what we want to get him to do is we want to get him to play onto the field. I don't have any managers for the field, so I want to make that right quick. We want to wrap up in about 15 minutes. I think we can probably do it. All right. So then, what I want to do then is we have the card interface area. We had it on the mouse. You see me interacting with it. What we're going to do then, we're going to put one here, I reckon. And so if you drag it to it, it's going to detect it and then add it to that field. All right. So I'm going to think about how I want to do this. So we have this monster here. We're going to have our field here. We're going to, I guess we'll create a scene for this. Let's give it, change it to a 9 abstract. Player field. We're going to save this in the, not the UI, battle. Here should be fine. All right. What size do we want this to be? I'm thinking, how big are these cards? Okay. We'll create an 80 then. 80. For width, we'll go, what would be 480? We'll go 256. See how that looks. That looks about right. I don't have any like rect actualities, so we're just gonna give it a color rect. Do that across the full, and then we'll just make it dark. All right, add a script to it. This is going to manage the cards in the player's field. It'll probably manage positioning and stuff like that. And then so we're going to have a do a node 2D maybe. Sure, why not? I think that's how I'm doing it in the other one. We want it on top. All right. And it's going to, whenever we click and drag the mouse attacker onto the field, it's going to take it from the deck and put it onto the field. Now the way this works actually is, so we're going to add the interface here. So the thing that I'm thinking about right now is if we have the interface, whenever we click and drag, it's going to detect that interface. I'm thinking about if I want you to actually drag it to the interface, or if you could drag it anywhere and release it. Because if you drag it here, you know, nowhere. But if you drag it here for now, it's going to attack. I don't want it to do that. What I could have it do is if it detects any interface whatsoever. Or we could check if it if you drag it up like that, like to a point where it's like, okay, I'm being used. Which right now you can't see it, but right now it knows it's being used. I think. Maybe not, but it is listening. And so I'm thinking like if you release it at any point above your little area here, then it would do that. I think we'll do that. Makes more sense to me. Like you shouldn't have to drag it to that specific place. But what we could do is if you wanted to do it positional, like imagine the field is here. If you want to drag it here and release it, then it would do it. But if you were to drag it all the way up here and release it, then it would just bring it to the center. Like it would find out automatically where it should go. I think we'll do something like that. Won't do it on stream, but I think that's the idea that I'm gonna go for. Okay, so yeah, so we'll go back to our scene here, and we will add in our player field. I'm just gonna eyeball it. Looks fine. We can measure it out. 14 units. 14 units, great. Let's see where that is positioned to the, yeah, that's perfect. Okay. We're gonna lower the Z index, I think. And we'll just lower it a few. Okay. And we're gonna add that interface to it, like I said. For now, we're just going to, like it's on there, like you have to drag it to it. But for the future, we're going to do it the other way. But that's fine for now. Okay. So, I wonder what happened. Yeah, I was wondering. Okay, so the way this works, let's see if I remember where that's at. It would be, it's either in card data, which it's not. I was probably in battle card data on execute. Okay, so we have here, this is our battle card data. We have a bit of a kind of a code stub here. We get our interface. This is the where you drag it to. And then, yeah, this does your base attacking. So what we can do, just for now, is we can copy that, go to our monster card data, and we're going to override the function here. So what we'll do is we'll say interface. Okay. So we're in the previous one, we're saying get the interface, get the card entity that it's parented to. And here we would attack it otherwise. But what we're going to do is say if there is a card entity there for now, just for now, we're going to say we're going to return, we're going to say if monster entity is not equal to null. It means there is a card there. We're just going to return. We're not going to worry about it. So then, actually no, we can do better. We can do as player field. If the let's say field, if the field equals null, then we'll return. And then we can get rid of this because this is the logic that we were doing for it. And then what we can do instead is say field dot add. I don't have this function yet, but we can say add card. Do we want to? The field is not a deck. We don't need to create a deck for it, I don't think. So we can just say add card. We don't have. Oh yeah, we have the monster card. But we don't have the entity. We don't have the interface or the entity or the instance here. I would think the instance would be really important. We should always have the instance. So we're going to add that. Like so. Let's get rid of that for now. All right, now we need to find where I'm doing that. I think is here. And we can say card entity dot, no? Oh, okay. Okay. Let's do that there. All right. So this is not the one we want. That's fine. We'll leave that as there. The entity will call itself here, and we'll pass it the card instance when we do so there. Okay. A little bit of a runaround, but we got there. All right. So we go back to our monster data, monster card data. Here, execute, field, add card, card instance. So, okay. What I'm thinking here is typically I like to work in data, like not the yeah, I like for data to manage data, but we do need the card entity. Because the reason I like to do it is like in case I mean probably not going to happen here, but like imagine like something I want to simulate in the background, and then as a default I like to do the data for it. So instead of having to worry about nodes, and then as an optional, I can get the entities from the data. I don't think I'm doing that here. I don't know that I want to set up that here either. So we're going to go back. I think I did that. No, that's fine. I think we're just going to do this. This is not going to like it. We're going to say card, and just for now, I don't want to get too deep into it. But we want to get it up and running first before I get too concerned about it. Okay. It should be battle card data. Just checking all of them, make sure. Here. All right. So we'll add our card here. Now, we're not doing this yet. So we'll have to create that function. We have the player field. All right. Now, right now, we can only add this card entity if you are over the interface. In the future, like I said, we want to do it to where it'll pull it to it. And so in which case, we want to know whether or not we're over the interface or not. For now, it's not an issue though. For now, we can just say, so we want to remove where it's currently at. For this, it'll be added to the interface here, the player cards thing, which is parented here. So, we are, for now, going to just remove the child and then reparent it and then move it. Well, we can just keep it positioned where it's at. So var t equals card entity dot global transform. And then we'll say card entity dot get parent remove child card entity. And then we cards will add the child back. I don't like doing this. You get a lot of funny business when you do this. So in the future, I'm probably going to destroy the card and recreate it. But for now, this is fine. Card entity dot global transform equals t, just to make sure it transfers properly. There. Now, let's see if that works. We want to add it to the turn manager when we do that. That didn't work. It's also getting discarded. That's a thing to think about. That's interesting. Okay, let's do this first. We'll worry about that. Make sure that's functioning. Goes card, add entity. It's probably doing it and then it's discarding here. Okay. Let me check its path. Make sure it got done properly. Yeah, it's into the player's field. This is the card interface. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna, it's a little funny. What I'm going to do is say if card entity dot get parent equals cards. No. Do we not have a thing for it? We might not. Let me change that. We'll add it here. If it equals cards, then we're going to discard. If not, it's done something funny, and we don't need to worry about it. Okay. Now we do need to move the position though. Alright, so we're no longer using that. Well, we'll keep it. And then we'll say add card. We'll set target position. To position. And we'll do that. We're doing that here. And it should be executing when I release the mouse. So I should just be able to say get global game.get global mouse position. We'll have a cursor, do a cursor thing properly later. But I think that's fine. Nope, not that. And then player field. We have our to position there. And then we can say, I think we can just say desired position. No? This is the entity, right? Maybe not. We'll just say global position equals to position. We'll tween it later. No, wait. It's on card entity. Card entity dot desired position equals to position. I can't guarantee this will work. I might have disabled it because I was messing around with some stuff. Yeah, that's not gonna work. It'll work. It'll work when I fix it. But just for now, we're gonna say card entity dot global position equals to position. And we'll fix that later. Okay. It keeps its rotation. Okay. All right. So yeah, so here when we add it to the field, this is where we want to add it to the turn manager. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to do that exactly. I think we're going to do it in the field. That's fine. So we can say, we're just going to say game.battlescene.turnManager.add entity, card entity, card into turn manager dot turn minions. Now we need to worry about the breakage that we had before. Which we'll see what happens. And I know it won't work. Like it won't. It'll probably freeze up. Okay. All right. So let's figure that out. So turn entity group. We'll go next entity. Okay. Okay. What I think I want to do is say var starting group turn group IDX, and then we'll say while turn group IDX not equal to starting group. We're going to increment it here in just a second. We'll say turn group IDX equals 1. Do we have any clamping already being done? We can say turn group IDX equals wrap I. Value 0 turn. I'm going to rename that later. I don't like that name. That. I did that here. Just do that. All right. So turn group IDX plus equals 1. And then while turn group IDX not equal starting group, group equals turn group IDX. If group dot is empty, then turn group IDX plus equals 1. If not empty, break. Okay, so starting group, you see our next group, we increment 1, and then we get the group. If the group is empty, then we'll just iterate to the next group. If a group is not empty, we break, and we get our entity here. We need to do that there. And next entity, if not group is empty. Right? Else no. No, it's too much. If next entity not equal to null, boom, we do the next turn. Think that's fine? Oh, oops. Okay, I guess what was right. Okay. No. Interesting. Because we iterated. Right. Okay. Interesting. How do I want to do this then? I don't want to iterate the group because I want to set it here. I want to say set that group. Which this would be like the perfect place for a do while, but I don't think Godot can do whiles. var do equals false, true, true equals false, while do equals true, while do or no, I did fix that. Did I not fix that? What's your problem? Should be character data is card entity. Okay. Card entity dot card instance. Hold on. var card is card entity dot get card instance is card inst equals now return our card data equals card inst. Wait, where is card data at? Okay. Card entity instance dot card data as monster card if card data equals null. Return, and then we want to say, wait, no, hold on. We want that as a monster card. Not really. Okay, hold on. Let me take all that away. Var monster card equals card entity as monster card entity if monster card is not equal to null. We might add traps to the turn manager as well. Just for now, we're only going to add monster cards. Monster card dot monster data. Card data had monster data as well, but when monster card is created and set its instance, card instance, it duplicates the card data and sets it onto the card. And the card entity is the one that holds the data, which is probably not good. We should probably be setting that on the card instance. I'll worry about that later. All right, see if that works. Okay. And yeah, he's going to attack me. Okay, great. We're getting there. We're getting there. We just need to tell it to attack the enemy. Now, right now, the way that's working is here. We're just assuming the player is the target. So we need to tell it that it is on our side, and then what it needs to do is look for the enemy cards and attack one. We're just going to pick one at random. How do I want to do that? I could just have a side, like player side, enemy side. I would keep that. I guess I'd keep that on character data. Okay. We'll call it a faction. So enum faction. We'll just say player enemy. Oops. Okay. This is character data. Yeah, we're going to have this as a storage variable. We're going to assume faction enemy, unless otherwise stated. And then, when we add the card to the field, we can say monster card dot monster data dot faction equals character data dot faction player. Okay, and so when it attacks, if faction match faction, we'll do match faction. Match faction enemy, then target equals player data. Else, okay. Else we need to say for battle, because game dot battle scene. I have to do this. Wait, no. Game dot battle scene. Let me look at my battle scene right quick. What I'm going to do. No, I could just get it from the turn manager actually. Whew. All right. Our turn manager. And then we can say, wait, are we keeping entities? I think we are. Where are we at? Turn manager, excuse me. No rounding data. Okay, great. I don't think we have a get group. So we'll do that. We'll make one right quick. All right. We're going to do, it's not cast, we'll have to cast it ourselves. We'll save our array. Array dot assign turn dict dot get turn group. The array there, and then we return the array. We need to cast it there. All right, so then We can say turn manager, say var targets. Turn manager dot get group. Turn manager dot turn enemies. And that'll get every enemy that's there. And then we could just target equals targets dot pick random. If target, we need to make sure we don't have a null target. Target equals null. I don't know. Do not equals here and do all that. Otherwise, we just end our turn. Well, we're going to end the turn regardless. See if that works. Oh. I don't know what's doing that. Hard interface 67. Huh. I'm going to ignore that for now. I don't know why it's doing that. There. And turn. Yeah! Beat him down. Oops. Great. All right. So there, we have a functioning minion system. I didn't expect to get that in already, but that's pretty good. Yeah, that's great. Now we just need to do the drawing system. But that's going to be it for me for now. Appreciate y'all for dropping by the stream. Hope y'all have a good day. Y'all take it easy.